What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and today I want to take some time and discuss the pros and cons of living in Carolina Forest in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I've done pros and cons on Myrtle Beach. I've done pros and cons on Conway, but somebody asked me this past week, could you do one on Carolina Forest? And well, personally, Carolina Forest to me is probably my favorite segment of the beach. It's actually where I live with my family, and we absolutely love it. So I'm gonna take the next few minutes and talk about the pros and cons of living here. 5 pros, 5 cons. Let's get going. All right, so the first pro that I think is probably one of my favorite reasons for living here is that Carolina Forest is about as centrally located as you can find here in Horry County. It is right smack dab in the middle. If you look at a big map of the United States and you can see where Myrtle Beach is and you put your finger on it, you're pretty much gonna be sitting right on Carolina Forest. It's not on the northern end of the beach, it's not on the southern end, and it's just slightly west without going too far west out into Conway. What does this mean? It means that getting around the town and getting around the beach is pretty easy from here. We can get up to the northern end in about 25 to 30 minutes, or all the way down to the southern end in 25 to 30 minutes. At the same time, if I need to go west out to Conway or Amier, I can do that in about 20 minutes as well, or I can be over sitting on the beach with my toes in the sand in about 12 to 14 minutes from my house. So for me, the location is by far the number one thing. You know, I used to live down on the southern end of the beach, and well, everything that we did seemed to be up in Myrtle Beach itself. And so we were always driving 20, 25, 30 minutes just to get to where we wanted to be, to then have to turn around and drive 25 minutes back. Now living where we're at, we can get to just about everything we need to do in a 10 to 15 minute drive. So it has saved us a ton of time. But at the same time, we're far enough away from all of the tourism that Myrtle Beach has to offer that we don't know when it's happening. When the bike weeks are going on, we don't really know. Why? We have that invisible barrier known as the Intracoastal Waterway that's keeping that stuff away from us, and we're able to do everything we want right here in Carolina Forest. The second big pro that I like to share is that Carolina Forest as a whole is usually a little bit more affordable than other parts of the beach. As I always share when I meet with people for the first time, I pull up a map of Myrtle Beach and Horry and Georgetown County, and I show it and I say the same thing. The closer you get to the big blue ocean, the higher the price is gonna be for the land. The housing's gonna be more. You're going to spend more money being closer to the beach than as you start to get farther back away. So Carolina Forest as a whole is just on the west of the waterway, so you have the option to get great housing for a more affordable price. You take the same home that you could buy in, say, Berkshire Forest, or the farm, or the parks, and take it over on the east side of the waterway, put it close down by the beach, east of 17, and you can take that price of the home and probably jack it up another $150,000 to $250,000. As they always say, location, location, location. So yeah, you get closer to the beach, you're gonna spend a lot more. But the reality is that when you're over here in Carolina Forest, you're still close enough to the beach that when you wanna go down and enjoy it, you can get there in a 10 to 15 minute drive versus having to maybe be out in Conway where you're spending 45 to 50 minutes to get to the beach. And you get to have all the benefits of being close to beach living without being right on top of it. The third thing on the list that I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned it a few minutes ago, is Carolina Forest is west of the waterway. What does that mean? Well, the Intracoastal Waterway is this body of water that runs from way up in the northern states all the way down through Miami. And it's a great canal that you could basically take and get all the way down on a boat if you wanted to. But what it does here in the Horry County area and Myrtle Beach area is it basically becomes this invisible barrier. All of the tourism stuff as a whole is east of it. You have everything over there. So all of the beachwear stores, all of the mini golf, and all of the restaurant traps and tourist traps that I've talked about before. If you're wondering what those are about, check out this video. Yeah, those tourist traps, they're all over east of the waterway. But what it does is people who are on vacation, they don't want to travel over across the waterway. Oh, it's too far away to do it. It's only a 5 to 10 minute ride, but to them, they don't need to come over here because, well, they don't need a grocery store. They don't need to go to the dry cleaners or those types of things. They need to go do fun things on vacation. So it works as a great barrier to keep over here on the west side a great spot to live. So we have everything we need west of the waterway. From my house, if I need to get groceries, or I need to, take a dog to the vet, or I need to go get checked out because I have a cough, everything I need is right here. I can get to it from my house within usually a 3 to 5 minute drive and not have to touch any of the tourism of Myrtle Beach. This also comes in super handy when there's big tourism events. The 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, all of these big events in the summertime where thousands and thousands and thousands of people are in town. We don't really usually know it because we're over here on our side away from it all and it doesn't really affect us. So it's really a nice option to have and be close to everything but far enough away that it doesn't affect our daily lives. The fourth thing on our list is its accessibility. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, from my house, I have 3 grocery stores that are right nearby. So when we're making dinner tonight, if we're making spaghetti and I go to grab the box of pasta from the pantry and it's not there, I can jump in the car. I have a Publix, I have a Food Lion, and I have a Lowe's Foods, all right within 5 minutes of my house that I can quick run over, grab that box, be back home in 10 minutes time to continue with dinner. If you live in some other parts of the beach, say out towards the west, or even some segments down towards the north or south, it could be an easy 15 to 20 minute drive, or even more depending on where you're at, that you would have to drive just to get that box of pasta and come back home. Well, what does that mean? That means that dinner is now delayed, your timing's off on everything, kids are going to bed later, and well, you're frustrated because it took so long to do it. Here in the Carolina Forest, and I live on the northern part of it, I have grocery stores that are right nearby. If I decide tonight I don't want to make dinner, we also have plenty of local restaurants that are hotspots right here near me. I have the Sneaky Beagle, Tavern in the Forest, J. Peters, so many other options that are all right within a 3-minute drive of my house that we can go have a great meal right here, not having to go over into the tourism stuff and have it right close to our home. So I love the ability to have the accessibility to everything we need for day-to-day living right around the corner. And the fifth thing that people love about the Carolina Forest area is that many of the communities that we have here have some of the best amenities inside those communities in Myrtle Beach. If you want a neighborhood that has awesome pools, you're gonna find it here in Carolina Forest. If you want a home on the Waterway or in the Waterway development, we have multiples of those all up and down River Oaks Drive. You have the options for places with lazy rivers. You have options for places that have access to the beach. One of the communities here has a beachfront access cabana you can go and use. There's so many awesome things that you can do right here. I've talked before about amenities in the communities, and my neighborhood that I live in, our HOA is $90 a month. We get access to 2 pools, one of which is an 800,000 gallon pool. We also get a basketball court, a fitness center, weekly trash pickup, basic cable, and high-speed internet in our $90 a month. Now, pause the video right here a second and leave a comment down below and tell me, how much are you paying right now for cable? My guess is your cable and internet bill is more than what I'm paying a month for all of my HOA fees and getting more things for it. So maybe you should think about moving to Carolina Forest and saving some money that way as well. So these are the 5 things that are some of my favorite pros of living here in Carolina Forest. Now, let's take a minute and talk about some of the things that, well, they're the complaints that I hear from a lot of people. The first one on the list is kind of obvious, and this is one that goes without question, but it's not on the beach. Guys, if you want Carolina Forest to be on the beach, it's not gonna happen. We are west of the Waterway, as I said. It's a good 10 to 15 minute drive from wherever you're at. So if you're someone who says, I have to have a home where I can walk down to the beach, or I can take my golf cart down, this is not gonna be the option for you. But if you're okay being 10 to 15 minutes away, it might be something you wanna check out. You have to remember, when you live here year round, you're not going down to the beach each and every day and sitting there from the minute the sun comes up to the minute the sun comes down, because, well, life is happening. You have to go to work, you have to do the dishes, you have to cook the food, mow the lawn, take the dog for a walk, go to doctor's appointments, do so many other things that when you put all that stuff that life happens daily back in when you're not on vacation, well, there's not as much time to go. What my wife used to do is she would get up in the morning early, get the kids over to the bus stop, and after she did, she'd come back in the door, grab her purse and keys, wave goodbye, and go down to the beach. go walk on the beach for an hour or two first thing in the morning, have some time of relaxation, re-energizing and recharging, and then come home and start her day around 9 to 9:30. She'd do that probably 2 to 3 times a week. But it was a great way for her to experience the beach, get that quiet time alone, and then get on with her day. So a lot of people that I know that live in Carolina Forest do that and love it each and every day. The second con, and this is probably one of my biggest frustrations about living in the Carolina Forest area, is, well, 501. If you're down on the southern end of Carolina Forest, you're going to be dealing with traffic on 501 each and every day. For those of you that don't know, 501 is the main thoroughfare of bringing in tourism to Myrtle Beach each and every day. It's also the main road for tourism going out. So during the peak seasons, which right now is basically from about February to November, December, you're dealing with a lot of traffic on that road each and every day. When we first moved down here, we had a home that was out on 501. And when I would leave work, I would have to time my time of going home around 501 traffic, because if I left at 5:30, I would get home at the same time if I left at 6. I would spend that extra 30 minutes sitting in bumper to bumper traffic just to get home. So you can find when you're dealing with 501, you have all of that headache. Now, if you're on the other end of Carolina Forest up towards the northern part, there are options. You have Highway 31 that you can get around. You have International Drive that you can take the shortcut. You also then have accessibility over to Grissom Parkway that takes you over to 17 Bypass and Business, that you can get around all of that traffic and save yourself a lot of time. But if you're down on the southern part, unfortunately, you are going to deal with 501 a bunch. The third con on the list is that you're gonna have to do a little bit more driving to go do the touristy stuff and do the beachy things, as I like to call it. So if you wanna go over to Broadway at the beach, you're looking at about a 15-minute drive. If you wanna go down to Brook Green Gardens, you're probably 30 to 40 minutes. If you wanna go up to Little River or Cherry Grove Pier, you're gonna be spending 30, 40 minutes to get to those places. You're gonna have to do a lot more driving to get to the beachy things. But like I shared a couple minutes ago, you're not gonna be doing them a bunch. And honestly, it's kind of fun to me at times when I get to make that drive over to do it. You know, during the holidays, my brother was in town and we decided we were gonna take them over to Dave & Buster's and play tourists for a day. And we just went in and played video games and had a big time. It was a 12-minute drive from my house. Not a big deal at all. We had a good time, got in the car when we were done, came back home, and you would never know that we were in a tourism town anymore. So yeah, you're gonna have a little bit of driving to get to the beachy things, but it's still close enough to you that you're not gonna have to spend hours in the car. The fourth thing on our list is Carolina Forest is in a city. If you're looking for it on a map, you're not gonna find Carolina Forest. It's a zip code 29579 that you can check out, and my guess is probably within the next few years it will become its own city, just like Conway is in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach and Murrells Inlet. But as of right now, Carolina Forest is just in the unincorporated county part of Horry County. So you don't have some of the facilities and options that you have if it was its own city. We don't have our own police station and police force. We don't have, as many of the fire trucks and that kind of stuff in the area, but there's still ample to service the area. But in time, like I said, I have a sneaky suspicion Carolina Forest is going to become its own city, just like everywhere else. And the fifth and final thing that is probably the biggest con and complaint that I get from people is that Carolina Forest as a whole is an HOA community area. Almost every single part of Carolina Forest, the 29579 zip code, has some sort of homeowners association and its own subdivision. So if you're someone who says, I want a home where nobody's gonna tell me what I'm doing and I can do whatever I want, Carolina Forest probably isn't gonna be for you. But if you're someone who says, Jeremy, I wanna be close to everything, I wanna have access to different things to do, I wanna have great amenities, I wanna have great pools and fitness centers and trash pickup and all that kind of stuff included, then you may want to consider Carolina Forest as an option to move to, because it definitely offers all of those things. Being that it's close enough to the beach but far enough away is going to make it affordable pricing, great options for you, great types of homes, everything from the smaller all the way up through huge massive homes. I saw one yesterday on the MLS with over 8,000 square feet. So there's even those types of homes too in Carolina Forest. So there's a lot of different options here for you to pick from. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today on the pros and cons of living in Carolina Forest. If you did and you're thinking about making a move, my contact information is down below. Feel free to shoot me an email, shoot me a text, call me, whatever works for you. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, get that bell on, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.